led by Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji when I was there, a month or so before he departed, and Prabhupada said, so now, please forgive me for all my offenses. Now the war is over. You please try to help them in Krishna consciousness. Babaji Maharaj was quick to say, no, you have not offended anyone. But all you have done in the name of Guru Maharaj in preaching, you cannot make offense. It was very charming, very endearing, and Prabhupada would speak harshly about his godbrothers, and you have to understand it why, for what reason, circumstance, time. Some of them were inimical, but even the inimical ones. There was one who was inimical at one time in Prabhupada's estimation, and Prabhupada sent me to honor his Vyasa Puja in Vrindavan. After he had departed and the Vyasa Puja was being celebrated, Prabhupada sent me with some other sannyasis to go and observe that. I thought Prabhupada didn't like this fellow. So that doesn't run very deep, really. What runs deep in the heart of Prabhupada or any Param Vaishnava, Shuddha Vaishnava, like that, is love. So to speak of loving people in general, devotees, and devotees of the same banner, godbrothers, this we should know. We should understand this, because we have readily our own experience now amongst our godbrothers, differences. We may speak strongly about one another, but if we're carrying on nicely with the mission, we also must have some deep appreciation for those who are also carrying on, and a tear for those who are not. We're not against them. So I think that Prabhupada very much demonstrated this, and if we didn't see that, we didn't see Prabhupada. As much as he criticized some of them, he loved them very deeply, and it came out at different times. And if you know the philosophy, then he was not just a politician, just patronizing, saying something nice about this one or that one. When he glorified Keshav Maharaj with a tear in his eyes at that notification of the disappearance of Keshav Maharaj from the world, I think in 1969, Prabhupada was in Seattle, he got a telegram of his disappearance from the world. He gave a talk with tear in his eye about Keshav Maharaj, and he cited the verse of Das Goswami to glorifying how Sanatana Goswami had taken him out, dragged him forcibly to such a life of renunciation. So he had deep feelings for them, deep love. For a person that had such a big campaign, so widespread, and in terms of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there was no wider, far-spread campaign. I mean, he was practically on every continent where people live. His campaign went, and he was conducting like a great general, but in such an unassuming way, with such humility. If you take his prayer upon arriving in America, signed your most insignificant beggar, I think we see the spirit that of humility that he had, that caused such a dispensation to come through him. It always, I think, amazed me, or it stuck out in my mind, how one would be so humble and have such a... Usually the humble person gets nowhere. In other words, if you're humble, then you go nowhere. You have to get out there and assert yourself and so forth. And Prabhupada was humble in that he was not at all self-asserting, but asserting always on behalf of his Guru Maharaj and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A dynamic kind of humility, the kind that would allow him to sit on the seat and also chastise and give orders, but truly humble to the order of his spiritual master, humble to the call of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote that Trinadapi Sunichena, to be more humble than a blade of grass, it's not that he sat down to write some poetry, but when he read the environment, when he saw grass, he thought, I'm not humble. Look at the grass. It bends when you step on it. It doesn't talk back. When he saw the tree, he thought, oh, why couldn't I be tolerant like this? And we are seeing grass, walking on it, and seeing trees everywhere. How often this shloka comes to mind. But when Mahaprabhu looked at the world, this is what it said to him. This is what it dictated to him. And that is his message about chanting. And Prabhupada, humility. If we go on, we go to the next one. tolerance, how he could tolerate me. And that certainly took a lot. And all of us, crude stock we came from. Humility, tolerance. I think this verse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikshastakam, Trinadapi Sanichena Turodapi Sishna, and Amani Namanadena, he showed respect to everyone, even while saying, I'll step on their head with shoes. He showed respect for them. He brought Krishna's attention to them by doing so. Sant Saraswati Thakur once remarked about Vrindavan Das Thakur, who says this in his book. Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishna Das Kaviraj is so humble. If you chant my name, you'll be committing offense. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says, if you don't take this up, then I step on your head with shoes. So Prabhupada used to say like that. Saraswati Thakur was once asked about it, how can he be humble? He's saying this. He said, no, if he does this, it's out of real respect for that person, out of their potential, and how they're not taking advantage of that. And when a devotee speaks like this about someone, then Krishna goes to them and says, oh, my devotee has said this. He pays attention to him. You please forgive him. So it draws Krishna's attention to that person. So even when he's speaking strongly and harshly. And that people felt it also. Prabhupada could call them dog or nonsense. You're not a theologian. You cannot say who is God. What is this? You're not a teacher, you're a cheater. And more often than not, they were charmed by that at the same time.